Chapter 2, Seeds of a New Species. They were called many things: pioneers, prophets, lab rats, saints. The 30 individuals selected for Ark I were not just astronauts or scientists. They were symbols, each one carefully chosen, scrutinized, and scripted to become the face of something humanity had never done before: leave with no plan to return. Their photos were printed on cereal boxes, their bios summarized in hashtags, their public appearances framed in soft light and bold music. The New 30, Time magazine called them, the first of the last. But under the lights, behind the speeches, they trained like soldiers on borrowed time. Colonel Anne McLean, the spine of the mission. She moved like someone born in low gravity, deliberate, self-contained, her movements economical to the point of severity. Her uniform never wrinkled, her shoes were always clean, her voice never cracked. She was the mission's anchor, and she knew it. A combat-tested U.S. Army pilot and NASA astronaut, McLean had logged over 200 days aboard the ISS and had once repaired an exterior coolant line during a solar flare event without flinching. In internal memos, NASA called her our most stable variable. She called the mission the most advanced expeditionary deployment in human history. Not poetic, not sentimental, just true. She kept a folded photo of her son inside her EVA suit. She never showed it to anyone. Lex Fridman, the Watcher. Lex was not an astronaut, not a soldier, not a bureaucrat. He was a philosopher with a clearance badge, an AI ethicist trained at MIT, known for his podcast and long-form interviews about consciousness, love, and machine learning. Elon Musk personally requested his inclusion. His role was amorphous: AI behaviorist, social observer, Martian chronicler. But what he really brought was witnessing. Lex was tasked with creating the Mars Mind Logs, a living archive of what happened to the human psyche when it was unshackled from Earth, time, and gravity. In private, he called the crew voluntary ghosts. He brought 3 things with him: a notebook, paper, not digital, a sealed drive labeled The Philosophy of Distance, a letter from his younger self. He hadn't opened it yet. Dr. Zubin Damania, the heart. To the public, he was Zdog MD, a YouTube physician-comedian turned resilience researcher. To the crew, he was simply Doc. Funny, fast-talking, deeply human, Zubin had once run a hospital system in Nevada and had left it behind to focus on healing minds instead of just bodies. He knew trauma, knew burnout, knew despair. He was assigned as medical officer and morale lead, responsible not only for their bones and blood, but for their hope. His experimental protocol combined narrative therapy, stress cycling, and group humor injection. Laughter in zero gravity is its own form of religion, he wrote in his log. Privately, he was haunted. He had a recurring dream where he returned to Earth and no one remembered him. Not his patients, not his wife, not even his own reflection. He told no one. Bianca Vasquez, the architect. Bianca spoke softly but thought in systems. She wasn't famous. Not before Ark I, but in aerospace circles, she was a rising myth. At 29, she had already founded a Latinx engineering collective, written 3 white papers on regenerative life support design, and built a prototype algae-fungus hybrid that could convert CO2 into breathable air and edible protein. NASA had dubbed her habitat model Eden Frame. She called it someone's future childhood home. Her focus was not just building systems that worked, but building systems that didn't fail catastrophically. She was determined to make Mars livable, not just survivable. Her private log read, "If I do this right, someone will grow up here and call it home, and they'll never even think about what we gave up." Tim Dodd, the lens. Tim wasn't a scientist. He wasn't military. He was a rocket nerd with a camera. His YouTube channel, Everyday Astronaut, had made him a household name among STEM-curious teens and retired aerospace engineers. He wore orange flight suits, broke down rocket engines like cooking recipes, and smiled like he still couldn't believe they let him do this. NASA was skeptical. SpaceX wasn't. Tim was embedded to document the mission from the inside out, with no PR filter. He was given full transparency access, including footage review veto power. His broadcasts would later be called the Dust Window series, equal parts wonder, terror, and brutal honesty. During training, he said, "If I do my job right, kids will watch from Earth and feel like they're already halfway here." He packed a guitar, and a GoPro, and a small chunk of Iowa dirt. Training. Becoming Martian. They trained like they were going to war because in some ways they were. The war wasn't with Mars. It was with themselves, their minds, their bones, their isolation. Their illusions of control? Training sites, Devon Island, Canada, for regolith, EVA operations and emergency response dome, C, Antarctica, for psychological desaturation and pressure leak response drills, Utah Desert Research Station, for solar rationing, terrain navigation, Florida Keys Aquanaut Facility, for repair training in full suits, underwater, no light, SpaceX Orbital Habitat, SIM, for months of confinement in a replica of their future home. They learned to seal leaks in 10 seconds, move in low gravity without spraining their own ribs, grow food from fungus and their own waste, diagnose strokes with no scanner, pretend their friends hadn't just cried in their sleep, a whisper from the edge. 2 months before launch, an anomaly report emerged from the University of Melbourne. Small lab, underfunded, overworked, but precise. Bone mineral density in humans exposed to less than 0.5 grams for more than 400 days appears to decline past regenerative thresholds. Re-entry to 1G may cause irreversible collapse. The document reached NASA Medical Command, SpaceX Medical Integration, Lex Fridman. All flagged it. The official panel dismissed it. Statistically inconclusive. No actionable changes recommended. The report was quietly archived under Level 3 non-critical anomalies. Lex highlighted one line and copied it to his notebook. The body may adapt to a new world more easily than the mind can forgive the loss of the old one. End Chapter 2.